Welcome in, fans, to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm Randon. Here with me, as always, is Dustin, and we have another great Fanley Cup Series episode for you tonight. We have a phenomenal guest, longtime friend of the show, Darel Boyer, finally joins us on this show. He has been one of our long-running supporters, and we are so excited to have him on the show today. Darel, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Now, you are well known in the Utah Hockey Club, formerly known as Twitter Utah Hockey Club space, but there are some listeners who may not be familiar with you. Why don't you give us just a brief introduction? Tell us about yourself.
Happy to, yeah. So as you said, my name's Darel. I go by my name on all my socials. Figure if I can't put it out there under my name, I probably ought not be putting it out there anyway. I'm native here to the great state of Utah. I did nearly 10 years in the military that took me some various other places, but happy to be back here and very, very happy to finally have the NHL in Utah. Kind of a long-time wish that didn't know if it would ever come to fruition, and it's been a magical ride here the first year of things.
Obviously, thank you for your service. As somebody who grew up like us in Utah, and now the dream is real, tell us about your experience outside the Utah Hockey Club. Have you always been a hockey fan? Did you have a team that you cheered for before? Or kind of what got you into hockey to today?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest themes here is going to be family for me. And hockey's been a family, it's hard to say tradition, because when what you have in Utah is the Golden Eagles and the Grizz, I mean, there's some tradition there, but I'm also a guy, I can't skate. So that's the first thing out the door. I have no experience on the ice other than falling on my rear end. And I have no experience playing the game, but my parents would go to Golden Eagles games at the Salt Palace. We were there at Grizz games very early on when they were playing at the Delta Center, and then when they moved to the E Center or whatever it was before it became that. I can't pretend to have followed that branding all that closely, but a lot of good times down there on the glass or even up in the cheap seats. My wife and I, our first date was at a Grizzlies game. We had Grizz games go all the way through. I've cheered for the Boston Bruins primarily since I was a kid. My uncle's a Red Wings fan that got me into the original six, and something about that gold and black spoke to be me. And so I've been following them all the way through. Interesting to see some of their travails of late, but when it was announced that the team was going to be coming to Utah, it was kind of a natural fit to be able to say, all right, we're going to get into this. I mentioned the Grizzlies, and trigger warning for those who are sensitive to this kind of stuff. We had a death in the family. So I was actually going to a Grizz game on my birthday, October 1st of 2023, when I got a call from my mom. She and my dad were on vacation down south in Arizona visiting my sister, and found out that he'd had a medical issue and was not expected to make it. So there was very little that we could do in terms of turning around and driving down to St. George, where he'd been life flighted. But I was in that lower foyer right after you walk in, right before you go up the stairs, and I had to kind of have my final remote goodbye call to my dad, and found out, during the second intermission there, that game, that he actually passed away. So that really cemented hockey and hockey in the state of Utah for me in a more personal way than it ever had before. And when we found out a couple months later that Smith Group was probably going to be purchasing the rights to a new franchise, and that we're going to be coming up north, at least the players and staff, I told my wife, hey, I don't care if I've got to go and start donating blood plasma again. We're going to get in on the ground level here, and we're going to get our hooks into this team, and we're not going to let go. And I'll pan around here a little bit. We've got our hooks in so far. We're in for season 2, so we're not letting go.
That's the only way to be, and that is a very powerful connection to have that, to go through that experience and have hockey kind of in the background, and kind of growing up and with your parents, going to the Golden Eagles game and everything. And so obviously very sorry for your loss, but yeah, you're right. That's got to be one of the more unique experiences to connect a fan to the game of hockey. And now I'm just visualizing in my head, I'm like walking through the Maverick Center, and I can see the team store right in front of me. in those stairs, and so I can visualize right there where you were, and now hopefully though your fandom and this team and what you bring to this team as a fan can kind of honor what your parents have been in their legacy of being fans to the Golden Eagles and to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and I have nothing but great memories of going to games with my parents, and that was really the thing for me is, yeah, I didn't want that to be a negative night, and I know my dad would not have wanted that either. I didn't want it to be a negative night for my kids who were with me, and so we've had the opportunity, being half-season ticket holders with the club, that I've been able to take my daughter who's 7 and my son who's 2 to the majority of the fan events, to various games throughout the season, and creating that family connection, creating those memories for these kids, and really being kind of the target audience, the target market for Smith Group and what they're trying to build in the community. I mean, I'm a millennial with kids and a little bit of disposable income to throw at the team, so I'm right in there and I'm happy to be there. But you're exactly right. It's something that we want to carry forward and want to make sure is a powerful, positive experience for our family and for the entire community.
Now, anytime one of our guests talks about not only their children, but like what Smith is doing here locally to grow the game and whatnot, and all the money and what he's pledged towards like building new rinks and whatnot. Your 2-year-old is probably a little too young to have shown an interest in the sport other than like, hey, hockey, because I have a 2-year-old as well. And anytime he sees the SEG Plus logo on the TV, he's like, hockey game. But like he hasn't shown an interest in playing it yet. Has your 7-year-old showed any interest in wanting to play and get on the ice and skate? Maybe they can learn where you don't know?
Yeah, I mean, both of them have, to a certain degree, actually. So same thing with my 2-year-old. He ended up, at the beginning of the season, he would see the Utah HC logo or the Bruins logo and a point, and it would be goals. Everything was goals. And now he'll see it, and it's hockey club, and it's never anything but pure excitement in his voice whenever he sees it. My 7-year-old, we've been to a couple of the camps that they've done for the street hockey. One that was put on by the Boys and Girls Club of Salt Lake that was sponsored by Smith Group, and a couple of others as well. I've actually got her practice stick right over here, that she got for one of the events that they did. So yeah, she wants to get into the Learn to Skate program over the summer, Learn to Play program. She's in soccer right now, so there's going to be a transition period out of that. But I'd much rather put some cash towards getting her into hockey gear and out on the ice than into like basketball gear or something like that. I say that having just watched the Celtics sweep the floor with the Magic, but that much more inclined to be a hockey dad than to be a basketball dad.
That's the only way to be. I remember as a kid when we went to the Bountiful Ice rink, the rec center there, and I went there with the anticipation of being registered for hockey, and my parents took one look at the price tag and they said, nope, you're going to play soccer. And I played soccer for basically my entire childhood. But I think it's so fantastic, as all three of us are fathers, but our children, if they choose to, will have the opportunity, thanks to these things that are happening, to get to play, where I think the price has always been a barrier to families to get their kids into the game, which is, I don't want to say it's stifled the fandom, because Utah has always had a very rabid core hockey fan base for their minor league teams, but now it's just so much more broad, and they can reach so many more people, not just watching the game but playing the game. So let us know, reach out to you about the inline skating, because that's what my son wants to do. Let us know and continue to let us know about their growth in the sport. I just think it's so great. And do you think that is just like crucial? Like, you got to have that young, kind of like how the junior jazz is so embedded in Little League play, or at least it was when I was a kid. I don't know if it still is. And building lifelong fans to the Jazz, do you see that for your children as just that vehicle to just create those lifetime fans when they have that personal connection with them?
Yeah, I really do. And I don't think it's just the kids either. I brought my wife into hockey fandom and into Bruins fandom, and she's been there sitting on the couch next to me watching, the issue. I have a hard time talking about them losing in 2019, especially with Bill Armstrong now sitting at the controls of our roster. Even she has commented how she didn't think that she could care for a team, the individuals on a team, the way that she has with connecting with these players. And I know the same thing is true with my kids. We were just at the Liam O'Brien signing down at Overtime, and shout out to them for the card shop down there. And that was an amazing experience. We stood in line for 2 hours, talked to, a number of people that we'd interacted with on X, and, got to see folks live. And as soon as we got into the room, shy little 7-year-old girl absolutely shut down in the presence of the mighty spicy tuna. But the smile on her face in the pictures that we took, that's a memory that she's going to be able to take forever. And for the kids, those personal connections really are the gateway. And Smith, Ryan and Ashley, they understand that. Their parents, they've seen what junior jazz has done. I think Ryan played junior jazz, if I recall correctly. And so you're going to grow the game long term through the kids. And I think a lot of the things that they've done this season are going to be very successful foundation blocks and stepping stones to the overall franchise's continued success as not just as a hockey team on the ice, but as really a force for good in the community and a legitimate hockey franchise for a long time.
Now, you talk about caring about the players and meeting some of the players. I'm going to put you on the spot. I need you to pick a favorite one. Who's your favorite player on this roster?
This is the one question I was dreading that you guys would ask. I'm wearing a 24 right now with my name on it because I couldn't pick one guy's name to put on the back, to wear on my own back. Never had a problem with that with Tom Brady or a Julian Edelman because I'm a Pats fan too, to keep the New England connection going. My wife did buy a Sergachev jersey, and I tell you what, I think that I really enjoyed his play throughout the season. Nothing epitomized what I love about him more as a player than when he came off the ice and flipped off the camera. That's an iconic moment to me, and I think that's a lot of what the team needs more of, frankly, if we get to talking about what the future iteration of this team looks like. But if I were to buy a jersey with somebody else's name on it, it would probably be Sergei right now.
I tell you, the white Sergachev jerseys look mwah. They are things of beauty. So if you go with the Sergachev, my recommendation is the white jersey. But do what your heart tells you. But I'm going to put your wife down as Sergachev, but I'm going to put you down for Nick Schmaltz. So that's another tally for Nick Schmaltz as favorite. It's so strange. Every single person we've had on the show, just Nick Schmaltz is their favorite player. That's so strange. You'll love to see it.
It's a beautiful thing. But the community really aligns behind the guys.
Well, let me ask you this. So you've been to a few games. You've obviously watched the games on SEG. Do you have a favorite moment, or can you pick a favorite moment from this season that just you look at it and you're like, yep, that's the one. That's the one I'm going to remember?
I'm going to cheat on this. I'm going to give you two, because one is on the ice and one is off the ice. And they both come from the same game, actually. So I mentioned that we got on the half-season preferred ticket package because we couldn't justify going to 41 games. 21 was good enough for us. We ended up actually going to 23, buying a couple more tickets there. Well, buying tickets and then getting that pair of tickets through the SEG Plus subscription, which, again, talking about what the Smith Group is doing to drive interest in the community, those things of basically just giving tickets out to get butts in those obstructed view seats was a great thing. So we got tickets to the Anaheim game, and I decided to take my daughter. It was going to be her second game of the season, and it was right around the same time as the votes were going on. So for the new team name, and we've been Team Mammoth since the beginning. I was willing to pivot to Yeti when I thought that that's really what the team was going to go down, but she walked around with this Tusks Up Vote Mammoth sign for the entirety of the pregame, all the intermissions, and when warm-ups were getting ready to start, she told me she wanted to go down next to the benches and watch warm-ups. I said, all right, we got the time. We can do it. We'll take your sign down there. We got down, so, the crowd had gathered, and I kind of got this inkling. I was like, I know why she's down here. And I turned to her and I said, are you down here because you want to practice puck? Very sheepishly, yeah. I said, okay, honey. Well, here's the deal. You see all these other people around us? They're here for the exact same reason. And if you want to get noticed, you got to get noticed. You got to be loud. You got to be out there. You got to be making eye contact with the guys on the ice, and you got to get them to notice you. That is far outside this young lady's wheelhouse. So she very sheepishly, went down, got down to the front row, asked very politely if she could slide in between a couple of girls that were already down there. And I looked away for a couple of minutes, talking to some people around there, looked back, and she was gone. I couldn't find her anywhere in my visual range until I happened to look in the corner where the glass curves around. She has wedged herself in that corner glass, and she's got one foot on the railing and one foot on the glass stanchion, and she's got her Vote Mammoth sign up, and with the other hand, she is pounding on the glass to get Clayton Keller's attention because he'd made his way over to the bench area. It came down, he skated over, tossed a puck over, and the taller girl right next to her got it. And it was like, oh, crap. And I'm thinking to myself as the parent, like, so cool that she is out there putting herself outside of her comfort zone to do that. But how heartbreaking that, she didn't get rewarded for it. Makes her way back up to me, and her face is aglow. Did you see me? I saw him. He waved at me. And just the switch in her personality right there to go from complete introvert to complete extrovert. And to have experienced that level of joy was something I didn't know was really even possible in that setting. And then later on in that game, we were actually on the defending side, or the attacking side, rather, for overtime. When Gunnar had that overtime goal, and our seats were almost right out there, out the front. So we got to watch that live. And that girl very nearly jumped out of her skin when she realized that puck had gone in, and we pulled that out in OT. And the Gunnar first goal of the season, of the franchise, in game 1 was awesome. I've never screamed louder in my life, but being able to share that moment in that spot with the context of everything that had already gone on that day with my daughter, that was just like, we were done. There wasn't any topping that for me for the rest of the season.
That is an awesome connection to have with your daughter, and I wish her the best to get those pucks. I've seen it is a madhouse where you've got everybody. I'm surprised the punches haven't been thrown to get those practice pucks, but hopefully she can get one soon, and that is a very magic moment. Is there anything in the stadium that you've seen over the course of your half season, because there's from the very beginning game to the end of the season, they got better and better and better with everything that they did. Is there one or two things that the organization does within the Delta Center that you absolutely love? And is there anything that you would like to see them do for future seasons?
I have loved their ability to react to the fans and react so quickly. There were a lot of us who missed out on the inaugural game matchup puck because the limited quantity, and the scalpers frankly got in and gobbled them up. And I'm very glad to say I didn't have to spend a couple $100 on one, because they took that feedback from those of us who reacted negatively to it and did a reissue of the pucks at the end of the season. I very nearly spent about $600 on one of those pucks, and glad I didn't have to. But it's everything. It's everything from this fan experience, actually entering the arena and getting through security. Sound of Silence. I can't listen to that song anymore after all of those, away team goals that were scored. They killed that eventually, I think, due to some feedback. I love Hockey Bear. I really do. I hope that there's either they keep him on board or there's a smooth transition from Hockey Bear into a new mascot. But keeping that fan engagement actually in the arena has been really good. I gave this feedback to my season ticket rep, where I didn't have high expectations coming in, because it is an organization, in their first season, they're going to be learning things, and their hockey operations team are going to be learning things. But I think that there's almost been an unprecedented, for me, level of access and the ability to give feedback. And to see how that has been implemented over the course of the season has been pretty cool. I am really excited to see what they do in terms of renovations. We've seen some of the pictures come out of construction in the lower bowl. It's going to be nice to get the monkey off our back there in terms of people trying to clap at us for only having a 10,000 seat stadium, even though we all know that it's not just 10,000 seats. So yeah, I can't pin one thing down specifically to say this has been, the exceptional thing that they've done or exceptional thing that they've improved. It just seems to be their ability to engage with the fan base openly, honestly. And I think Ryan Smith said it, we're not going to be perfect, but we're going to keep trying. And that is exactly what they've fulfilled.
So, as a season ticket holder, I'd even just partial season ticket holder, I have asked some people, and I don't even know if you can if you're a partial season ticket holder, but did you have access to the Toyota Zone, and did you get in there at any point during the season?
We were able to get in there as part of a fan experience season ticket holder event, say back in like February, but not for any of the games. So I got to kind of, poke around in there and see what's what. But no, they keep us second class passengers firmly in second class, no going up onto the first class promenade.
When you went to that, like getting to at least to see it, did they have food there for you to eat, or was it just purely just to see what was there?
Yeah, no, so it was pretty cool. They had it was a player interaction event. So I think they had 6 or 7 players who kind of rotated through things. And they had a nacho bar. It was a pretty basic thing. We didn't get to try any of the hors d'oeuvres or anything like that.
I'm trying to spread the word of their soft pretzels, but nobody has had access to the Toyota Zone yet. I might have to bring on my own personal guest, a guy that took me to the Carolina game that we talked about earlier. I was in the stadium for that. But he's got access to it, and he can spread the word, because I need everybody within the sound of my voice to experience the soft pretzels in the Toyota Zone.
Well, I also hear that they've got great broccoli that you can sequester away and toss onto the ice, so that's another plug for him.
Yes, yep. Thank you, Broccoli Brandon, for he came up with the broccoli hats, but he's not actually one of the first ones who threw broccoli on the ice. We cleared that up in an earlier Fanley Cup interview, so not too bad for it.
But I'll tell you, the Toyota Club may be good, but it does not hold a candle to those $10 free hot dogs and bottle of water. If you haven't experienced the free hot dog you get, move over Toyota Club, because that's it. But enough of the Toyota Club. Let's put our GM caps on. Let's think about, so we've got this young, amazing, incredible core that we've gotten to watch all season, this young core that's going to be together for multiple years, and a whole lot of cap space. So Darel, I'm going to have you put on your GM hat. You know this podcast, we're big supporters of trying to hit a home run and bring in Mitch Marner. But if you were the GM, is there any player you would target, or any spicy trade that you've got cooking up, that a player you'd like to see come to Utah and help take this team to the next level?
Well, if I'm the GM, I don't want Mitch Marner anywhere near my locker room, to be completely honest with you. I think we need 2 things to get us to that next level, not to just where we're contending for the playoffs, but where we're contending to win a series. You've got to have finishers. And yes, Marner would get you that. He would get you the points. He would get you that finishing in front of the net. To be able to get you over the hump and into the playoff picture. I don't think he has what it takes to actually help this team will itself to a win in a hotly contested playoff series. And unfortunately, I think that's bearing itself out right now in the Battle of Toronto, between Toronto and Ottawa. So Matty Nyes, if we could somehow get on that RFA, I would love to bring him in Marner's stead. Now, they've said that they're not interested in that. I think he and his camp, and I think he's Toronto's priority in the offseason, so that's probably not going to happen. I would love to swing a trade with Anaheim for Trevor Zegras and bring him in to be the 2C. I think he's in the last year of his contract. Now, with the new coaching situation out there, who knows if that changes the locker room situation at all. But I think ultimately what you need on this team is you need somebody who can finish in front of the net, and you need grit. You just need somebody who can take this team, put them on their back, and will them to a win or 2 in a playoff series. And Mitch Marner doesn't do that for me. So I think the pickings in free agency are going to be kind of slim. It's going to be interesting to see what Bill Armstrong does decide to do, if there's a trade that he can swing with some of the assets that we've got. But I'm actually really high on the folks we already have in the pipeline. I'm really excited to see Dani Ilbut and Dmitry Simashev come across from the KHL. I think those are going to be two just stud additions to the team. And then everybody who's on the team has to take that next step forward. The real growth in the team is going to be those guys feeling that pain of having been so close, yet so far away at the end of the season from the playoffs, and putting in the work that is needed to get better on an individual level and on a collective level, because they need to develop that internal grit to be able to push themselves into those situations where the skill can take over and they can win.
Do you think we can re-sign Logan Cooley for under $9 million a year, or do you think it's going to go above that?
Under 9? I mean, in all honesty, if I'm Bill Armstrong, do I care if it's 8.9, 9.1, 9.3? Given what he's given you this season and what he can give you, I think that a contract probably comes in at like it's an 8.79. I think is what you see, 8.79.
I like it. That locks him up, and I hope that he wears the Utah Mammoths. I hope he wears that sweater for his career. Are there any other players that you're excited to watch and see if they have that next gear?
You know, I really like what I saw in flashes over the season from guys like Barrett Hayton, Nick Schmaltz. We know what he can do, but at the end of the day, I want to see how that D-core comes together, because I think we know the offense can cook when they get cooking, and they need a little bit more consistency, and that's where all the flash is at. But what can we get when we've got a full year of Sean Dursey and a full year of John Marino, and we've got, Simashev coming up. I think Mav Lamb's going to be in the mix. When you get those guys seasoned and locked in together, how good can they be across both blue lines? That, I think, is going to be probably the hallmark of the team. I can't remember who said it back in probably late February, early March. Maybe it was Nick Olchek, who essentially said, in an 82-game season, you're going to have 20 games where you look like world beaters and everything's going your way. And you're going to have 20 games where you're just stinking up the joint, nothing goes right, you didn't come to play. It's going to be what you do in those other 40 games that's going to determine the course of your season. Are you going to go 50-50? Are you going to go 25-15, one way or the other? Can you go 30-10? The great teams can. And I think having a D-core that can keep games close when your offense isn't clicking and can contribute on the score sheet to get the offense going, that's largely going to be the difference in those middle 40 games to be, determining whether or not you're pushing for a playoff spot, or if you're just hanging around at the bottom of the wild card.
And I think next year will be the first year that this team really has legitimate, reasonable expectations that they should absolutely compete for that playoff spot. So we'll see what happens in the offseason to see if those expectations change. But I don't see a reason why they shouldn't make the playoffs. And as long as they can take that next step and get through those slogs where they struggled last season. But this year, assuming everybody stays healthy, the expectations are going to be sky high, and the pressure is going to be, we'll see if they can handle it. Now, let's see, Darel, if you can handle the pressure of the patented 2-line pass rapid fire series in this Fanley Cup series. Are you ready for Dustin to introduce the most prominent segment that we have?
Locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
Okay, so we're going to give you 5 quick questions, just rapid fire succession. You just give us the first answer that comes to you right off the top of your head. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, top of their game, burger or pizza?
Burger.
Taking all things into account, University of Utah or BYU?
The U.
Big spoon or little spoon?
Big.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
If I get a speeding ticket while traveling through Point of Rocks, Wyoming, but I have video evidence proving that I was not speeding, would it be cost effective to travel all the way out there to fight the ticket, or should I just give in to the racket they're running and pay up?
Never give in to the racket.
Yes! Yes! A definitive fifth question answer. That's what we want to see. Too many people have balked at the curveball fifth question. Not, Darel. Not today.
They laugh at it like it's a joke, but Darel just hit it out of the park.
See, and I was hoping for the gold, or I forget what the other investment question is.
The precious metals. Well, do you have any yet?
See, this is the added benefit of going later in the series, because if you've already listened to an episode, you are ready to expect a curveball for question number 5.
Yeah, I do my film study, so we're good. I'm a bimetallist, so yeah, give me gold standard, give me silver standard. All day, every day.
Okay. You heard it here, guys. We're all buying gold. We're buying gold. Darel, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for getting through the technical difficulties. Is there anything you want to add? Any thoughts you have? Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to shout out you gentlemen, and I expressed this in pre. I think what you're doing here for the fans is just phenomenal. It's going to be a great thing to reflect back on in the future, to be able to say, you know, we had this fan interaction around the club and around its inaugural season. There's so many great people in the community, the fan community, and I'm really excited for everybody else who's coming along in this series. A lot of them are already great friends personally, I'm sure. Not knowing exactly who the lineup is, I can probably take a few stabs in the dark and get a couple right. But yeah, I just want to express publicly how grateful I am to Smith Group and to everybody who's made this possible and accessible. It's truly been a life-changing experience for me, for my family, and I expect it to be for a long time going. So, tusks up, go Mammoth. Clubbers till we die.
I absolutely love it. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for being an amazing fan. We have some of the best fans. The Utah Hockey Club, not the podcast. The Utah Hockey Club has some of the best fans out there in the NHL for this young franchise. And you're one of them. We just appreciate you coming on, giving us your thoughts. And we will talk to you in season 2 coming up shortly. Just a few more months. It seems like it's so far away, but we'll blink and then it'll be here. But Dustin, any closing thoughts from you?
I do have one question, because my father's name is Darel. I don't know if I don't know how old you are, so I don't know if this would have been in your era of growing up. But how many times
You're gonna
have
ask
you
me about
heard
my
the
brother
phrase,
Darel and my other brother Darel?
"Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Darel. This is my other brother Darel." How many times have you heard that in your life?
If I had a penny for every single time I heard that, I would no longer be working. Let's put it that way. So yes, that's
Perfect. Yep.
family favorite.
Yeah. I grew up in the 90s with the last name Newman, so I got all of that, like, hello, Newman. So I know what it's like to have a name that's has a bit connected to TV, so just had to check and see if you lived that same life.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, we are kindred spirits.
Perfect.
Dustin's not even an heir to the salad dressing fortune either, so I
Nope.
hitched my wagon to the
Worthless.
wrong Newman. I absolutely love it. I couldn't be happier doing this with you guys. And thanks again, Darel, for coming on. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening. There's still time if you want to be involved in the Fanley Cup series. We're going to be doing it all throughout the playoffs and into the off season if necessary. But thank you guys very much for listening. Darel, Dustin, thanks for joining me tonight. Everybody out there, have a great night.